You are not important for the world. You're important for yourself. So if you can offer something important to the world, only then you become important to it. Life is an enterprise, the only enterprise. And whatever happens within this enterprise shapes the way we feel and how we take it forward. So if you look at challenges, if you look at opportunities, if you look at experiences, they all shape our life, which is our enterprise. Because anything that happens to our enterprise is all because of our actions or inactions. So to understand this little more deeper, let's go back when we are born. So when you're born into this reality, and whatever we learn through a period of time with our experiences and with our education system, or even the lack of it, or let me put it in one nutshell, the total experience which comes to us from people and the places we live in, which includes cultural activities, which also includes the countries we are in, the environment which surrounds us, the governance, what happens around us, and all those influence us to become who we are, including, sadly but truly, including if we are a male, a female, a transgender, or anyone of thereabouts. So all that comes to us, and the way we accept it, the way we understand it, and understanding this and trying to shape this into something sensible, and then trying to feel the essence of who we are would be our enterprise. To some extent, our personality is also our enterprise. Because that's what we need people, we want people to look at. We want to experience that personality. We could be a bit here and there away from it, but that's what we propose to be, and we expect people to look at. So, in a small timeline, let me try and brief this up. When we are born with certain inherent situations, be it on the financial side, the poverty or the rich, or born to whom, the parents, and born where, which part of the world, and what is happening in that part of the world, and the cultures which come about surrounding you, or which also engage you because you are bought also into that culture. So all this till your age 10, 12, 15, 20, whatever, the early formative years of our life feed us with these experiences. Now, in my understanding, what shapes us slowly but sturdily is the lack of what we want, or the lack of what we need. These are the things which shape us slowly but sturdily. Because our directions from our parents, from the society, from our peers, is all going towards making us largely economically independent. I'll get to the mentality, I'll get to the spirituality, I'll get to the satisfaction later. But these are the focus of any society in which wherever you're born, and underlining all this is the safety and security of your survival. So the society or the near and dear ones, more so your parents, will all try and engage in activities and in any kind of curriculum which will keep us safe, also help us in being financially independent over a period of time. And hence comes in what are we good at. So in early part of life, most of us, we don't know what we are good at. We can jump from anywhere, from a cartoon character to a fictitious character, and then all the way up to a fancy or an adventurous character. Let's say like a Disney character in our very early born days, to fictitious characters like Hulk and Superman and Batman and Spider-Man, to all the way to pilots, adventurers. And then after that comes in the reality of life, wherein you understand that financial independence becomes very critical for you to have a sense of any sense of protection and security for your life. And that brings in the pressure for us to look for what we are good at and what can we deliver to the rest of the world. And this is a space where most of us kind of either get lost or get into a mundane space or a routine which we think is good for us and consistently keep doing it till the time when we start get bored of it or we feel that we can do more. And many would probably realize this well before others and start working on a couple of things which they think they are good at. This is basically where we would land ourselves up. But then each one to himself would probably not realize, or even by the time they realize, they could be in different phases of life. So now understand that, let's say at an X phase of life, we want to become somebody, but we are not that person. So we have an aspiration, because the fact that we are human beings and we live a life and we have feelings and emotions, we also have aspirations. And that aspirations could be very close to us, could be part of us, or could be so far that we might not even have the capacity and capability to achieve them as of now. So how do we go about building our lives wherein first we stay secured? More important, and the most important thing is to have the safety of life. And the second thing is, what do we know? And how much experience do I have? Am I enjoying, or do I feel good about what I'm doing? If it's purely based on your financial duress, then you are going to look at options or opportunities wherein you can earn more. So that has a simple answer to it. Now, if you want to do something good in what you're already working on, you have to enhance your abilities. You have to be an expert in what you're doing, add better tools, learn new technologies. That's one side. And others, maybe the craving is for them to do something more than what they're already doing, which might not be in sync with what they are right now doing to earn the livelihood or to live that life. So how do you get to a space where you understand what you can offer? That's when understanding yourself becomes most important. It has always been important, but when you realize this, the first step is to understand yourself. Probably that is the step which sets the ball rolling for everything what else you got to do. Because when you start anything, you need to know what you have, or how strong are you at it, and how far can you go with what you have. And once you understand that, you definitely know how far you are from what you want to do, or what you want to deliver, what you aspire to do. So when in the process of aspiring, in the process of understanding that I have a distance to cover, or I have to learn more, or I have to know more, we would engage in those activities in a very methodical place, in a style which adds value as you keep adding it towards yourself, because you need to build this in a logical way. So first you get to know what you need to know, and then you get to the people who are already in that space or working around that space. And then you understand what is it that you can bring to the table, which is unique and which you feel is the most important thing that you could offer in that space. And that brings you to a place of an idea which you think would help the society at large, and that is going to benefit people, it is going to benefit you in turn. So while doing this, assume that we come to a space of our self-understanding, a kind of retrospection, because we need our past. Our past is our experience. Understand what you know. Understand what you can do. There are two different things. What you know and what you can do, there's always a big gap in it. For people who understand this better, the gap is smaller. But then there is a gap. Because the information and experience have something in between which differs, which kind of parts them depending on how much information you know and how much experience you have. The gap is completely dependent on that, and that is called reality. And most of us understand reality when we only get into the reality with what we have on hand. So the faith in what you have as a service or a product, and the understanding, the faith basically comes from your understanding. The better understanding, you feel more strongly about it. When you feel so strongly about it, your confidence is on a place where you can roll it out. And when you're rolling it out, you have a faith that you can manage this. So the faith becomes an integral part of your strength for a rollout. And that could be anything. Now, if I bring this back to a place wherein this just sounds like somebody who's trying to do a business or an idea which is going to roll out on an independent side. But there are a lot of people who are working on jobs which are 9 to 5. And how does this apply to them? Simple. Most of us, when we work for somebody, we work for the task given by them, and then we go and do it on a daily basis. So we go on a rooster, we go about our day, come back home. So if you're doing it constantly and not thinking about what is good for you, it just becomes a mundane thing. And over a period of time, the mundane thing hits back at you, and then you want to change over and become something else. And maybe you think that you're losing time, or you're just wasting your time doing this. But have you ever thought that what you're doing, how could you improve what you're doing? Because your improvement in your current job or at your current responsibility does attract attention towards your performance. And this is universal. You could be in any field. You could be a farmer who's working for somebody, or you could be an employee working in a company, on a logistics company, or a software company, or a product company, anything. What is expected of you is the completion of task. But what is expected of yourself is to understand the process of completion of this task. Because when you do that, you acquire bigger and better insights of what you're already doing. This job and this responsibility is not the end-all be-all. This is one more way, this is one way of experiencing and learning new stuff. By doing the same thing over and over again, if you're subconsciously dead, when I said that you don't think about anything, you just go about doing your stuff, then there's nothing to learn. But your subconscious is awake, and every time you're doing something and the same thing over and over again, you will learn more. And when you learn more, you can add better ways of doing it. You would probably save time. You could probably come out with better methods of doing this. And you don't really have to do it to the same employee or the employer. With your experience, you could even start off giving inputs to your management, or maybe you can even go off to start off your own, depending on where you are and how strong you are in what you can do, and also on what kind of a person you are, an extrovert, an introvert, an adventurous guy who's willing to take his chances, or somebody who says, okay, I will stay within the system and add value to the system. When you add value to the system, you become invaluable. You will go up the ranks. Yes, there are petty politics. Yes, there are distractions of people. Yes, there is a lot of gossip. And there are a lot of influences because we are human beings. We tend to bring in too many emotions, create situations and circumstances which are not practically there, but then kind of mess up people's head, and that could kind of act on you. But if you are clinical in doing what you're doing, if you understand what you're doing, your persona, the way you act, the way you interact, gives very less space for external interferences. There are people you wouldn't want to engage with, and there are people you would love to engage with, and those are nothing but personas. Now, if you give time to what you have on hand as a job and objective, there's a very good chance that you will learn more from it. And anybody who has gone about doing things in life, bigger things, if you want to look at a grander scale, or anything different, are all those people who started off doing one thing, a very mundane thing, and then they understood that this can be done better. Either they went into, or the environment in the companies were so good that they managed to pull their the intelligence and then move it up the ladder into the management, and then that's how they've grown. And many people who think that they can do even better than what is happening have managed to go out and establish something similar, but with the niche that they think adds more value. So, at every given point in time, you're an entrepreneur. At every given point in time, you are a thinker. At every given point in time, you're an executor. At every given point in time, you are somebody who is learning, an apprentice to everything which comes his way. So when you start shaping this, and this shaping takes some time, but whatever happens for a better stuff, for a better future, happens for a greater experience. So this is your enterprise. How do you start your enterprise? Practices are very good, habits are fantastic. But for a practice and a habit, if it is put into a person who does not know how much he knows or what he knows or what he can do, or who is not truthful in his own communications, who is not honest to himself, do not add any value. They don't do anything. They might take you a distance or two, but then when you really need them, you are not ready to buy into them. So the most important thing for your enterprise is for the entrepreneur to be honest, for the entrepreneur to know what is just, for the entrepreneur to also understand that he is the start of his idea, he is the start of his life. Everything which comes into his life, experiences, goodwill, friends, wealth, fame, fortune, all the good things is directly proportional to how truthful you are to yourself, how honest you are to yourself. So your enterprise is the mirror of who you are. If you have a troubled enterprise, if you're sitting in a financial duress, if you're sitting in a position where you don't have friends and you don't even have relationships, that shows that you're not honest with yourself. And once you know these two things, it's pretty evident what has to be corrected. Now the correction also is directly proportional to the same fundamental again, how honest you are. Honesty brings in two things: realization of what you can do and what you should be doing. It does not give you dreams, it does not show you things which are so far flung that you think you can achieve it by not doing anything. So if you have to go behind something, you need to know what you know at that point in time. How much of what you know till then creates the base for you to start that journey, maybe at a speed which is faster or slower than what you expected, because you don't know as much as you think you did. And if you do, then the movement towards your bigger picture would be faster and stronger. Know this. You are not important for the world. You're important for yourself. So if you can offer something important to the world, only then you become important to it. But to claim that I am a human being, I am relevant, yes you are, that I am very important to people around me or to things around me, you are not. What you do is important. Take pride in what you do, not in who you are. That should define your enterprise. I am Raj Khan. Thank you for listening to me today.